So now, let's go outside and visit with Lauren Wanko, who has our truly towering guest with her, Dikembe Mutombo, a philanthropist, a mentor, an agent of change, and a former NBA All-Star. Lauren, it is great to see you, and it's great to see you too, Dikembe.
This is a real thrill for me. Thanks for taking some time to sit on our director's chairs. Let's talk a little bit about your foundation. You do so many great things, and you're giving back in so many great ways.
Yes, first I want to tell people more about the name of my foundation. My foundation is the Dikembe Mutombo Foundation, which was created back in 1997 to improve the living condition of the people in Democratic Republic of Congo and also in Africa. And our first mission was to build a hospital, which we did. We built a $30 million hospital, which I donated $25 million. And that was open in 2007.
Now, tell me about the connection between good health care, between students feeling good, and then in turn excelling in school.
As you said, that when the kids is not healthy, it's impossible for a child to develop and to grow to have a better education. We follow those diseases that are taking the life away from our children, especially in Sub-Saharan. It's very important. I come from the community where there's more than 1.5 million children are dying every year because of malaria disease. So there's a long way that we have to do to prevent all of those deaths by making sure that our kids have access to nice health care.
But you're also a big part of that solution. And we are running out of time, but quickly tell us, you have plans to build a school?
Yes, I'm very devoted right now to build a school next year, which I will start from a primary all the way to high school. So I'm looking forward.
Well, we will have to have you back next year to talk about that. But so all of our viewers know, we will be seeing Dikembe very soon in the studio to talk about My Brother's Keeper. So we're still have a lot more ahead right here on American Graduate Day. So great to see you. Thanks for swinging by.
Hi, I'm Chris Paul, and I'm honored to be a part of American Graduate Day. The NBA and the NBA Players Association are supporting the President's My Brother's Keeper program because we know that it is essential that we help more of our young boys and men of color stay on track and follow their dreams so they can reach their full potential.
That from the best point guard in the NBA, who dedicates much of his time off of the court with programs designed to improve the health and education of low-income, at-risk young people. He epitomizes something my mother used to say when she said, kids need to think that you care before they care what you think. I'm Wes Moore, back again with the concluding half hour of American Graduate Day. And as the President himself put it, we are stronger when America fields a full team. And that's in the same spirit that the President launched My Brother's Keeper, an initiative to encourage volunteers, caring male adults across the country to get engaged and involved in mentorship opportunities with young males. I am here today because my team was there for me. My team who helped me to understand that the world was much bigger than what was simply directly in front of me, and that we live in a big and a beautiful and a bright world, and that I actually had a place in it. Joining the full team today to discuss My Brother's Keeper are Deputy Secretary of the Department of Education, James Shelton, NBA Global Ambassador Dikembe Mutombo, and Joe Echevarria, former CEO of the professional services firm Deloitte. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And Joe, if I could start with you. We know the statistics, and we're hit every day with how difficult these challenges are. But you don't look at them and say it's too difficult. You look at them and say, how can I help? Why is that important to you?
Well, as a business leader, 70% roughly, Wes, of the jobs that are going to be created in the next decade are going to require secondary education. That means you're going to have to graduate from high school. That means you're going to have to do well in school. So just as a citizen, it's important that everybody gets a chance to live the dream that I got. I'm one of those kids of color. That's why.
Amen. And when we think about the big pillars of the program, what are the big pillars of the program? Why is this program so distinct and so unique?
I think it's important, it's distinct for a couple of reasons. One is that it takes a very targeted look at a group of young people who on every stream of data, whether you're looking at entering school ready or reading by third grade or graduating from high school, are showing that they're underperforming right now. But the other thing that it shows is that there are young men all across the country who are actually doing well, who are contributing to their communities, who are living to their potential, but there are interventions that are helping them do that. And what we're failing to do is figure out how to take those interventions to scale. So what President Obama said with this initiative is we don't want to re-describe the problem. We want to focus on solutions. We want to take those things that are working in some communities and have them replicate in many more communities. And we want to have adults in communities all across the country, whether they're policymakers or neighbors, take responsibility for helping these young men improve their lives.
And one of the really interesting things about it is this isn't about, okay, well, here's the idea, now all of you go do it. It's about identifying things that are happening within communities right now and figuring out ways of scaling it out. So if a person is in a community and they say, okay, I'm just an individual, how do I help? What do you tell them?
I tell them to do two things. One is to look around them and find others who are doing things, because what we find is that many times people in your communities are doing great work and they are not connected to each other. The second thing is that now more and more what we're seeing are leaders in the cities, whether it be the superintendent or the mayor, stepping up and taking on that responsibility in a much more focused way, where they're looking at the data in their communities and they're saying, not only are some of my kids not doing as well as many of the others, but there are whole communities where you can see that the community itself is suffering because so many of the kids are not doing well. Pulling them together in a coherent way so that the community-based organizations in the city and the police and the school system can all actually work together to help these young people improve their lives. That's what is different now, is the collective work.
And now, Dikembe, you spent much of your professional career blocking opponents, and now you spend most of your post-professional career opening up opportunities. Why is My Brother's Keeper so important to you?
It's so important to me, first of all. I didn't get where I am here if it was not so many people who step on my life, gave me the opportunity to succeed. First, I was granted a great scholarship to come to America to study medicine at Shelton. Then, when I was asked to play the game of basketball by the university, I was taken by the hands of a great man who I look as a father figure to me by the name of John Thompson, who helped me get to the next level. So there was always a great brother keeper to me who looked after me to succeed in my life. So I want to play that role also in my life as well.
And now, Joe, Deloitte has taken a very big lead on this initiative, and this is something that's very close to your heart as well, and have to push Deloitte to take that lead on this. Why did they find this to be so important to take this kind of lead, and what kind of advice would you give to other businesses who are thinking about getting involved in this initiative?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for the opportunity to speak about it. But most importantly, this was something where you can make a difference in the community. It's one thing to write a check. It's another thing to speak at issues. But if you can actually get in the community where the kids are, you can make a difference. And that's what was exciting about this. This was not something where we were going to get told what to do. Let's just take it as Jim articulated and put all the best resources, private sector, public sector, not-for-profits, and let's make a difference. Let's make a difference. That's what was exciting about it. And the president taking the lead on it obviously gives it a lot of inertia, but it's the 120 plus communities that are going to do something that really matter. That's what I would tell my counterparts in the business community. Like, get involved. Here's something beyond writing a check. Here's something about giving back and making a difference. It's that simple, was.
And Jim, say quickly, so what does success look like in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, it's actually really clear. By 5 years from now, we actually ought to see movement on almost every one of the metrics, whether it's the high school graduation rates, or whether it's a decline in the suspension and expulsion rates, or a decline in the arrest rates. These are all things that there are specific strategies that we recommended in the report we gave the president in the first 90 days that many communities are taking on head on, that we know that we can make progress on because of those examples that I talked about before. And so as we take this common approach, we know that we can actually see real outcome changes. The other thing I just want to point out, though, is 5 years from now, there ought to be a very different infrastructure in place. Mm-hmm. It's not a sexy thing that people don't like to talk about it very much, but when you have the data infrastructure to tell you what's going on in your community, and you can see neighborhood by neighborhood what's happening to young boys and young women in those communities very specifically, and in each one of the schools, and then you can target your resources to where they're needed most, you have an opportunity to make a bigger difference than if you're scattershot with the way you approach the work. So building out that infrastructure will be another thing that we need to accomplish over the next 5 years, and I think it's going to be there.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for our entire community, for all of our experiences, and for all the young people we work with every day. Thank you all for everything that you do. Sincerely, thank you.
Thank you.